Regarding GLP-1s, for everyone watching, I've read a lot of articles and I've seen a lot of doctors that are saying this, that if you're on GLP-1s, because obviously your weight is being lost everywhere simultaneously, I've heard a lot of people saying about bone depletion and muscle.
Yeah. I don't think it's because of the drug itself. I think it's because the patient's usually not eating the amount of protein that they need.
Absolutely.
To keep up that muscle.
So the question I have is, diet-wise, yes, I understand you need that, but what about the exercise? Because I've seen quite a few studies where because they're putting the pressure with heavier weights on the bones and on the muscles, it actually stops the muscles from depleting, or kind of like whatever the food comes in, it doesn't go everywhere, it goes more to the muscles and kind of preserves them.
Well, I think that's where you're eating the good amount of protein and then your resistance training. So if you're like overweight and carrying 300 pounds, then that's your kind of resistance training.
Just being alive.
So, but no, actually working the muscles.
What would you say is the minimum to maintain the muscle mass without it atrophying? For just a general person.
It's
a general.
1 gram per kilogram.
That's for the protein.
Okay. And then a couple of times a week, say like 3 times a week of some sort of resistance training.
Is there a minimum amount of resistance training to keep the muscles on? Or
well, it depends if you're 70 or if you're 20.
Let's say 70. I'm asking you these questions because obviously there are a lot of, we're all getting older and a lot of people are on GLP-1s. And now my parents started taking GLP-1s. And I've spoken to a couple of my friends who are doctors and in their longevity. And the first thing my friend, Dr. K, said was, get your parents to start working out.
They need a trainer.
Yeah, and now I just see them deflating, and I see the skin hanging, and I see because my dad used to be a pro football player. His leg was like my torso, and now I just see him like shrinking.
Yeah,
and he's 72 now, 73.
Right.
And I'm fighting with them to hey, I'll come and I'll go to the gym with you. Let's do. If you don't want to do weights, I'll bring resistant bands.
That's
I'll
where
do
the
something.
personal trainer actually comes in and helps tremendously, because then they know the right type of exercise for that specific person and helps them along.
I've had a personal trainer for my mother and my father. Well into their 80s plus, and that made more difference than any single thing that we did at that age, and they'd never done it before. So I would think that is the absolute best thing. I think there's also that capacity for socialization outside of their comfort zone, but the combination of which is unbelievably helpful in the elderly. It keeps them welderly, in my opinion. But I do think the GLP-1 story is just now being told. The GLP-1s now that we have are varied. They act differently. There's new GLP-1s. I'm lucky to be involved in a variety of research trials where I'm principal investigator on, and I am just shocked at the new types of GLP-1s that will be even easier for people to take and be less likely to have the kind of muscle loss that we're seeing. But she is right. Right now, the best thing you can do is good exercise while on GLP-1. Do not think that that's just a one-shot fix is all.
This might be controversial, and I can cut this out. But what about stacking GLP-1s with anabolic
steroids?
Peptides? No, peptides.
Yeah, there's that. I can tell you the new GLP-1s have new parts of them, new molecular capacity, but they're being studied at the highest level with the highest degree of rigor, well outside of animals, well outside of experiments. And the stack that you're discussing doesn't have that. So I would not recommend what people are doing now, which is experimenting with themselves. I understand where it's coming from, because sometimes the research that we take takes too long, and so they're frustrated and they're like, listen, I have nothing to lose, but we do have a lot to lose. So I don't believe in people experimenting with
themselves. Yeah.
themselves. It's just a trend right now. It's accentuated by social media. We're not for that. We're taking the cutting edge evidence, and even evidence that maybe isn't fully baked, but not the stuff that just is experimental medications without indications that haven't had any real trials. There's too much to risk usually for the benefit. It's one thing if you're a cancer patient, you're stage 4 and there's nothing left to lose. If you're not that, don't experiment. Get a functional medicine doctor and talk. Keep your book of you around you so you know all the things that are where your baselines are and where you're going.